Welcome to this spooky version of Lace Reviews. Halloween is once again upon us, and unlike last year, I really don't have the time to make a full review of a Halloween themed movie. Like last year, I reviewed Auntie's Meat Pies. I've also covered Hack-O-Lantern, two videos that I will link to in the description if you want full reviews of movies I could recommend for this Halloween. Today I instead just want to give you one strong recommendation for a movie you should watch this Halloween if you haven't seen it already. It is not only a movie that I love, it is a movie that I do find to be not just generally one of the most underrated sequels in horror, but probably just one of the most underrated horror movies of all time. It is a movie that didn't do too well when it came out. It does have a bit more of a following today, but I do think that there are a lot of people who don't really give this movie the love they should. They don't give it the chance they should just because of its reputation, or sometimes just because they haven't even heard of it. And that movie, of course, is Halloween 3: Season of the Witch from 1982. Not directed by John Carpenter, instead directed by Tommy Lee Watkins. But very importantly, John Carpenter did do the score for this film, so it has that very John Carpenter vibe to it, not just because it's produced by him, but again because it's accompanied by his lovely sound design. Something that, of course, his movies are quite famous for, and rightly so. I mean, John Carpenter isn't even really making movies anymore, he's just making music because he's so good at it, and I guess he's just more passionate about that these days. And, well, yes, this movie has John Carpenter's music, but is that the only good thing about this movie? Hell no, because it has, down his luck, drunken Tom Atkins, who, well, just one day hell comes to his work and he decides to investigate, and this investigation leads to a series of really weird events, increasingly odd, increasingly dangerous, involving a toy company that seemingly has a monopoly on Halloween costumes, Celtic magic, druidry, and just a hell lot of visuals that are amazing. Gore, weird, creepy visuals, a lot of funny moments. Tom Atkins is amazing in this movie, as he usually is, of course. It has these a lot of really, really good moments with weird things happening, creepy things happening, horrifying things happening, and a lot of things to laugh at. It is a little masterpiece. It is a really genuinely entertaining movie that I do enjoy watching, especially if I can for Halloween. It is a small masterpiece, and I'm not really gonna reveal anything else about it. It's a movie you should go into rather blind. If you are curious to hear more thoughts about it, I actually did cover it when in one of my very first videos, I did do a full review of the Halloween franchise. And of course, I do talk about the third installment, and that video, the way I did my video reviews back then is a bit different, but I will link to it, and that should also be this small thing you can click on in the event you're curious about my review of it. But yes, just wanted to give you this short little recommendation. I have very little time to film this, I have very little time to edit it, so that's where I will leave it. Just please watch Halloween 3. I mean, of course, it's not like a life or death situation, but I can really recommend it. And I think actually one thing I want to comment on is, yes, okay, so I said it's a very underrated movie and a very underrated sequel. And I think, well, it's because it's a Halloween movie that doesn't have Michael Myers in it, or Mike Myers. I'm always confusing the two. Well, I guess it doesn't have either of them, so yes, it doesn't have any of the Michaels. Or the Myerses. And why? Why do you make a Halloween 3? Why do you make a third installment without the stalking serial killer, unstoppable force that you have in the first two films? Because from my understanding, the way actually John Carpenter envisioned this is that Halloween should be an anthology franchise, that every single story told in each installment of the series should be a new horror movie centered around Halloween. So actually the Michael Myers story, it should be one and done. But of course it left it on a cliffhanger and it earned a lot of money, so they made a sequel to that. And then, although that of course also ends on a bit of a cliffhanger, it's a much less of a cliffhanger than the first installment. And they could argue that, okay, we're done with the story now. Now we can actually go back to the original idea. But no, of course you can't, because that's not what movie audiences expect from a film. So it didn't do too well, critics didn't like it, and it's only after several years that it has started getting more of this cult following and this appreciation as a quirky horror movie. It's camp. Don't go into this expecting Ari Aster or I don't know, or even John Carpenter for that matter. Don't go in expecting The Thing. This is camp. Okay, I guess John Carpenter really does do camp as well, so it's not the best example. But this is camp, and it's the camp that you would probably like from John Carpenter, but it has more elements in it. It is just a really weird little horror movie that's a lot of fun. So yes, that's where I will leave it. If you have any thoughts about the movie, you can leave it in the comments, and you can subscribe if you want to see my videos when I get back to making them. So many things are happening in my life right now. Some of them are good, some of them are good, not so good. But yeah, that's what's keeping me from doing it, and hopefully no more technical difficulties because I had to film this video twice. So take care.